financial expert coming to us. You were just on the cover of Money magazine, David.
Well, I know that was fun.
That's kind of epic, right?
You know what? It was kind of, I mean, honestly, it was kind of epic because it's one of those things I always, as a kid, grew up reading Money magazine. I mean, I've always been a money geek, right? And so like literally as a kid, I had a subscription to that magazine. So to one day be on the cover was fun. And now to be with you live streaming from Florence, Italy. That's also really fun.
I know. Well, quickly before we get started, just so everyone knows, David is here. He's part of our new cast of Money with Friends. We are going to be taping 2 episodes of Money with Friends that will go out next week. So this is David's first recording. So I'm a little nervous because I am just in awe that I'm here with David Bach. I remember when I met you 4 years ago when my book came out. And I was so excited because I mentioned you in my book. I don't know why I didn't think to actually put you and quote you in the book. You were right in New York, right under my nose. I should have known. But anyway, I met you by chance at a panel that we were doing at the 92nd Street Y, and then we just kept running into each other, and here we are 4 years later.
Well, and we've become friends. I mean, we were talking about the fact that our kids ran into each other in ski school. And so, it's been fun working with you the last 4 years. And congratulations on your show, because I know it's now been picked up by Westwood One.
Yes.
And that's a big deal. And you're doing so much good work. So it's a pleasure to be with you. And I can see people already chiming in. I see Kevin here and I see Ron. Good morning, you guys. Welcome to the show. So this is super fun. Good to be with everybody.
Yeah. And so just give us some context. You're in Italy. You had planned to go for 1 year. You have been, and it's been written about the fact that you have been like sort of the predictor of what we were expecting here in the U.S. with so much, because you're in Italy and you experienced the coronavirus and all the shutdowns before us.
Yeah.
You were only going to be there for a year. You fell in love with the place. Now going to be there another 2 or 3 years at least. Tell us a little bit, catch us up on your life since The Latte Factor came out, which was coming from this lesson you teach us all about spending money and the small amounts that add up.
I know. Well, the Latte Factor book, which was also so fun, we promoted that all over the U.S. And then right when that book came out, hit the internet, hit all the bestseller lists, it started to travel around the world. So it's been really fun being in Europe during that time too, because now the book's in 12 languages. It just came out in Italian. But the underlying message of The Latte Factor is that it's the importance of not having regrets in life and actually going for your dreams, living rich now. And it's not about actually giving up your coffee. It's about realizing that you need to pay yourself first. You need to save money automatically. And when you do that, you can buy your freedom. And so honestly, because I started as a very young investor, I did all the things you hear about that you're supposed to do in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s. I'm now in my 50s and I'm kind of living my dream life. And so I moved my family abroad, as you know, to Florence, Italy. We were going to come for a year and we've just fallen in love with it. But I did start podcasting again when the quarantine happened, because I wanted to really both give hope to people to realize that this too shall pass, to not panic when the market corrected, but also to have insight into what we're doing in Europe, because we went into a quarantine before anybody else. All my friends in New York were like, oh my God, you got to leave Italy, you got to come back to the States. And I was saying, no, actually, you need to leave New York City right now, because in 2 weeks, this is all coming to you. Mm-hmm. And we went into that quarantine early, and then we came out of our quarantine early. And right now, Italy is very healthy. We've been living basically a super normal life here in Italy since May. So we have very low cases. But we're starting to see cases around Europe spike back up again. So we're sort of in front of the U.S. on a lot of things that are happening, both good and bad. And so I've been able to talk about that. And again, the David Bach show, it took off after the quarantine, because I'm podcasting from home during the quarantine. I would no production, but people have loved hearing my message. So that's been really fun. So I think that's probably why you reached out to me too, is because you saw the podcast. So
well, I love the podcast. I mean, you talk about Acorns, which you're both supporters of. I actually recommended it recently in a New York Magazine article, talking about, my favorite apps. And you also talk a lot about the importance of housing as an investment. And I love the piece that you chose to talk about today. Just to give everyone a preview, the first show that we're going to record in just a minute, we're going to focus on the opportunities in the housing market. And you teach people about this.
Yeah, well, look, Kevin just made a comment here. The Automatic Miller was the first personal finance book I purchased. Thank you, David. Kevin, thank you. I'm glad you read that book. You go back to, I started my career at Morgan Stanley, and I was there for 9 years. And working with real people where you're a financial advisor, you get to see what ordinary people have done to build real wealth. And what I saw is that ordinary people who came in my office who were able to retire in their early 50s, or I should say in their 50s, early 60s, they always did two things. They bought their homes, they paid their homes off, and they paid themselves first automatically using a 401k plan or an IRA account. But the common denominator of the ones who could retire the soonest was they bought a home and paid their home off. And so I just really learned at a young age in my 20s that like there's two primary escalators to building wealth. It's real estate and stocks. And it turns out that really real estate's the ultimate escalator to building wealth. Because when you look at the net worth of Americans, about 65% of Americans' net worth is actually in their home. So homes really are what create wealth for the average American family. And it's also what creates generational wealth. And so I've always been this huge crusader for home ownership because I think it's the ultimate escalator to building financial security. You can't live inside a mutual fund. You can't live inside a stock, but you got to live somewhere as long as you're alive. So when this all happened with the recession, with COVID-19, I decided it was time to come back out and really try to show people that recessions are the ultimate time to invest in real estate because they always are, right? Like the last recession, if you bought a home, you made a fortune. I bought a home in New York in the last recession, and I did really, really well. You couldn't give away a home in Manhattan where we live in 2009. And guess what? By the way, that's happening again. Yes. All of a sudden in New York City, super hard to sell a home because there's so much inventory. But if you can be a buyer in markets that are the right markets during this time, you can change your whole financial life in a matter of years. So we just created this program called the First Time Homebuyer Challenge. It's free. It's at Ask David Bach, AskDavidBach.com. It's a 5-video course that takes you from how to rent to buying your first home. And we partner with Money Magazine on that. And again, it's all free. AskDavidBach.com. You can go check it out.
You give so much, David. Okay. I want to get to our show because I'm so excited. So this is show number 1, everybody. This is the show that's going to go out on audio on Tuesday, September 29th. You guys get the preview here. Here we go. Experts are predicting a massive investment opportunity in the housing market. We have the man Money Magazine calls America's favorite financial expert, David Bach, here with more. It is Tuesday, September 9th. Let's talk money with our friends. Welcome to the Money with Friends podcast. I am certified financial planner, Bobbi Rebell, host of the Financial Grown Up podcast, coming to you from my very grown up kitchen in New York City. That's your cue, David.
That's my cue. Hello, everybody. David Bach coming to you live from Florence, Italy. If you don't know who I am, I'm the author of 10 New York Times bestselling books. My most recent book is The Latte Factor, just going all over the world right now in 12 languages. And just was on the cover of Money Magazine, and I'm the co-founder of AE Wealth. So I've spent the last 25 years of my life making money simple, easy, fun, and actionable. And we're here today to help you make some smart decisions with your money. Bobbi, good to be with you.
Awesome. Well, we're so happy here. David is co-hosting the show with me today for the very first time. He's part of our new cast. Here on Money with Friends, we talk about the latest personal finance headlines. We add in the insights and wisdom of our fantastic cast of thought leaders, including 10, 12, how many best-selling books? Author David Bach. We also mix in, by the way, questions and comments from our money friends. And then we're going to leave you with a takeaway to make it your own. So David will have some words of wisdom at the end of the show. This episode, by the way, of Money with Friends is sponsored by Tiller, your financial life in a spreadsheet, automatically updated each day. Go to tillerhq.com/MWF for a free trial and to support the show. David Bach, welcome.
Good to see you, Bobbi. This is so fun. Congratulations on the show, too. I know it's taking off and people are loving it in the podcast land. So good to be with you.
Thank you. And I am so excited that you're part of our new season's cast. We have so many amazing people, from Farnoosh Torabi to Amy Goodman. We have Bola Sukhumbi, Grant Sabatier, who you've done projects with. Just such an all-star lineup. And you're kicking it off first so you love being a guinea pig, right? No problem.
Absolutely. And look, we figured all the technology stuff out. We're here. Kevin, we got people saying hi to us all over online. So super good to be with you. And again,
go ahead.
No, it's just great to be with you, and I appreciate you asking me to be a part of this. And so many great people are going to be on this show with you. So this is going to be an amazing podcast. It will be a great daily service to people that want to tune in and get, what's going on financially. What should you be doing right now?
Well, you've been doing a lot. You were coming to us from Florence, Italy, where you have been working hard. I kind of thought you were going there on a 1-year sabbatical and you wouldn't actually be working, because you have done this before where you take a break from work and you just spend so much time with your sons and your family and your wife, who's lovely. But you've been working. You put together a whole project with Money Magazine, which fits perfectly with the story we're going to be talking about home buying and investments in real estate. Tell us quickly about that.
Yeah, well, it's funny because that was the truth. I really was coming to Florence, Italy, and I was going to take a radical sabbatical and just chill out. Then the quarantine happened, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? I mean, I got the next 2 months to hang out at home. Maybe we can get some stuff done and go help some people. So I relaunched my podcast, The David Bach Show, and I've been talking about how to deal with this recession, how to not just survive it, but thrive. And one of the things we created during this time was a program to specifically take advantage of what's going on now, which is the real estate markets, how to go and buy your first home. So if you're a renter, I am here to tell you right now, with the times that we are living in, this is a once every 10-year opportunity to buy real estate. It might be a once in a lifetime opportunity for you. We've never seen in our lifetime rates this low. And so it's never been easier to buy your first home. So what I've done is create a first-time home buyer course that is free, Bobbi. We partnered with Money Magazine on this, and it's a 5-video course. I take you by the hand, show you how to go from building your down payment account to how to look at your credit report, how to get your credit score up, to how to get qualified for a mortgage, what type of mortgage to get, and then how to work with a real estate agent and go look for real estate. And one of our chatters here just mentioned The Automatic Millionaire. We had a recent reader, her name is Hannah, read the book, go to the course, and in 7 days go from renting to actually being in escrow to buy a condo in Sacramento. And she never thought she could buy. She had student debts, she didn't have a huge down payment, but she just tried it. And so go check it out. AskDavidBach.com. That's AskDavidBach.com. And also my website, FinishRich.com. Again, top of that website, FinishRich.com. It's free. So you can just click in, submit, watch it, and take advantage of what's going on right now, because we're going to talk about today's opening story here. The opening story is that all the super big wealthy people, the big $1 billion pension funds, the big private equity funds, they're all about to pounce on home ownership opportunities. And that's because they know this is how to make money right now. So should I read that story?
No, well, wait, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
So you chose the story. First, let's see which one of our friends is going to bring us into the headline. And then, so the story that you chose is from Realtor Magazine, and the headline is Investors Ready for Bonanza in Housing. Okay, go for it.
So this is right off what we've just read here. So single-family landlord giants are expecting a surge in repossessed homes as millions of Americans are falling behind on their mortgage payments and may be at risk of losing their home once evictions moratoriums end. The Wall Street Journal reports that landlords are waiting for a potential bonanza of distressed properties, as well as the emergence of a new wave of renters. About 3.5 million home loans, or about 7%, were in forbearance as of September 6th, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. This is sort of just like it was in the last recession. About 1 million homeowners are behind on their mortgage payments, but are not in a forbearance program. By the way, that's super important, because if you are behind on your mortgage payment right now and you haven't gotten into a forbearance program, you should. Investors are preparing for a wave of homes to come onto the market. Individual and investment firms have been buying more than 1 in every 10 homes in the U.S. over the past decade, but that will likely soon increase.
When foreclosure moratoriums expire at the end of the year, a slew of homes could hit the market, and investors are boosting their funds and standing ready to snatch them up. Quote, once January comes, that's when the carnage will come. Jared Kessler, chief executive of EasyKnock, told the Wall Street Journal. The startup EasyKnock raised $25 million from investors in June to launch a sale-leaseback program this month. So, David, explain what's going on here. This is, as you mentioned earlier, these are the people with a lot of money, and they are getting ready to pounce.
Well, and they already pounced 10 years ago, right? So like when we talk about like billions of dollars with institutional money going out and buying up tens of thousands of homes. The reason is that renters ultimately they don't just disappear. You have to live somewhere as long as you're alive, right? We've talked about this before the show. And so the reason home ownership makes people rich is you can't live inside a mutual fund. You can't live inside a stock. But you got to live somewhere. And the only question is who's getting wealthy off that decision. Is it a landlord or is it you? So homeowners are worth 44 times more than renters. Investors know that homes make great investments. That's why they buy them when the markets get like this. So, if you're an investor, this is a great time to be buying rental property. And I don't even have a dog in this hunt. I own a registered investment advisory firm. Like we manage money for people. I'm not in the real estate business. I just know this is one of the greatest ways to build wealth, and it only happens every 10 years. Kevin just asked a question here online on the chat. What if you don't want to buy physical real estate? What are your thoughts on REITs? I've always liked real estate investment trusts as a asset class in a diversified portfolio. But the thing about REITs is you get no leverage. So right now you can go back to that woman, Hannah. She bought I think it was like a $300,000 condo. She's 27 years old. It's 3-bedroom in Sacramento. She put less than $5,000 down. She got a first-time home loan program. And her mortgage is less than her rent was. And now she's got also friends that are renting part of the rooms, the property with her. So she's making money. And she's going to turn that property into an investment property. And she's 27. And so you talk about women taking charge of your financial destiny. The way you do it is with real estate. Mm-hmm. I know you bought your first home in your early 20s, right?
I was 23. Yeah. And my dad encouraged me to do it. He was a Wall Street guy. He certainly could have encouraged me to buy stocks. And I was doing that a little bit too. But he really, when we bought, because he was obviously co-signing at some point for me at that age. But it was, my savings from living at home and that kind of stuff. So the market was going down. In fact, my friend got a property very similar, cheaper than me soon after. So it was really crushing. But I mean, I basically tripled my money in that investment. And that led to flipping a few times through New York City. And now I'm in a family size home because of that decision I made at 23. And just, by that time, I paid it off. By the time I moved out, second apartment was also paid off by the time I moved out. This one, we do have some debt on. It's a big family apartment in New York City. But without that, I would not be able to have afforded to live in New York City as a journalist, because journalism, guys, not the best paying career. No.
By the way, your story is I know we've talked about this before personally, but your story is exactly the same as my wife.
Yeah.
Because my wife's father pushed her to buy a home in New York right after college. And same thing, I think she bought it at 22 or 23. And she too lived in it and then rolled it into an investment property, which today is, a very valuable investment property that she never could have bought. She hadn't started when she did it in her 20s. And one thing that's important to say, for anybody who's like, oh, I don't know if I should do this. If you're looking to build generational wealth, so much has gone on in the United States. It's been so sad. Being in Europe and watching, for instance, Black Lives Matter, and not to go off on a negative tangent, but when you look at the things that have happened in this country with racial divide, one of the most important things is to get financial equality. And when you look at financial equality, one of the things that has held back certain groups of people in America, it's home ownership. And the problem when a family doesn't own a home is that there's no wealth to transfer to the next generation. So when grandma owns a home and grandma dies, that money trickles back down to the next generation and often the grandchildren. And so part of buying a home as a family, doing everything humanly imaginable.
Very well said. Okay, David, so this is your first time co-hosting. So we're going to throw a curveball to you. We put this question out to our Instagram audience. By the way, everyone, at Money Friends Pod is our Instagram handle. Yours is David L. Bach, correct?
That's correct. You can see all the fun stuff I'm doing in Italy because it's not like the professional social account. It's what I'm doing over here in Italy.
Oh, it's great. You had your son this morning, I think, going at the bus stop with What was the statue? Oh my goodness!
It's a very famous statue that's here by the Ponte Vecchio, and somebody put an umbrella in it because it rained this morning. And my son's like, "Did you look at that?" What? I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Dad, look at that." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "It's holding an umbrella."
Oh my gosh. So at David Bach, you guys got to see this Instagram. It's the coolest. But okay, so we asked our at Money Friends Pod Instagram audience, do you consider real estate a good investment? What do you think our money friends said? Yes or no? What percentage said yes? Do you consider real estate a good investment? And by the way, we have a very smart audience, David.
Yeah, I'm going to guess your audience 70% said yes.
You are so good. 78%. But oh my God.
And what's interesting is that number would have been higher 15 years ago. The only reason it's not higher is because you have people on Instagram and social media saying you shouldn't buy a home. And typically those people are always out there selling you something else that they want you to buy. So, but 70, when I sit in a room, I used to do a lot of keynotes back in the day of live events. And when you had 10,000 people in a room and you ask that room, how many of you is the best investment you've ever made a home? Most of the room who's owns real estate, their hand's gone up. If you ask how many of you is your best investment in stock, maybe it's 10, 15% of the room. So I'm not against owning stocks. I own a lot of stocks and I'm in the registered investment advisory business, but I just know that real estate works. And the first thing you should do is buy a home. You shouldn't rent.
So I do want other investments. So we have a bunch of people that are very pro that, but we also have some comments that are naysayers. So
I don't even know how to respond to that because it's wrong, right? Like you could say that about anything. You could say that about the stock market. You could say that about your money in the bank, right? Like unless you're holding gold in your house somewhere, it's all on paper. It's all actually on a digital asset now. So real estate's actually not on paper. Real estate's actually tangible. Here's a wall behind me. This is a home. If anything's not just on paper, it's actually real estate. So the thing about real estate versus like the question about REITs, because I didn't finish it, is that REITs, if you put $100,000 in a REIT, that's it. There's no leverage. You put $100,000 into a piece of real estate. Like I was just with somebody today in a walk. They put $100,000 into a building for their company. They bought a building for their company in Nebraska. And they bought $1 million building. So they put $100,000 down. They got a $900,000 loan. The cost of that mortgage was like 2%. And they got $1 million, Bobbi, they got $1 million in tax write-offs the first year.
Wow.
He's a smart guy. He figured out some different things he could do with the city. But 100 grand, he owns $1 million asset. He's running it back to his company, and he got $1 million of the write-offs. Look at the system's rigged for people to get rich who own real estate and stocks. It's a rigged system, but it's specifically rigged for real estate. It's not fair, but it's never going to change. It's not a coincidence that the President of the United States family built all their wealth in real estate and that all the tax laws that have been enacted in the last 4 years are more favorable now for real estate than they've ever been for big real estate. And maybe not for the little guys buying a house, but for big real estate specifically.
All right, I want to squeeze in one last comment before we're out of time. We have actually our friend Andrea Warrock left a comment. She said, depending on location, price, interest rate, and potential rental stream, it is a solid investment. So Andrea is supporting real estate as a great investment as well.
Well done.
All right. Before we get to our takeaways, I do want to thank Tiller for sponsoring this episode of Money with Friends. Tiller's a great way to manage your money. They use spreadsheets, but the thing is, I'm not a big spreadsheet person, but what I like about Tiller is that it lets you customize them. And then I'm also not someone, well, you know about this, David. I don't like to spend time doing things. I like to set things up automatically because otherwise you might forget if they're just on your to-do list every day. So you set Tiller up automatically and it brings in feeds of all of your spending, any transactions, and it even has the balances of each thing added up. So you get everything customized and you can see what's going on and it's automatic, which is something that we all know works. When you automate things, things get done and you don't have to even touch them. So you simply connect your banks once, you see everything updated automatically. And again, you don't have to do anything. And we're all about the easy here. Go to tillerhq.com/MWF for more information. information, a free trial, and of course, to support the show, TillerHQ.com/MWF. Check out Tiller, everyone. All right, David Bach, we're wrapping up our first show. What is your takeaway for everyone on this story and all of your wisdom regarding owning real estate?
Well, first of all, congratulations for listening to the show. It shows that you want to be smarter with your money. Now the key thing is to take action. So if anything I said to you has piqued your interest, come over and visit me at finishrich.com. Brand new website to help give you more information about personal finance and help you take action. The First Time Homebuyer Challenge is there. So if you want to go through the 5-day course, it's free. And you can learn how to go from renting to buying a home. Again, it's on finishrich.com. Come subscribe to my newsletter. We send that out to over 100,000 people on Sundays. It's called the 3-Minute Sunday Newsletter. But the biggest thing is keep learning more about money. And then remember, it's not just learning that's enough. You need to take action. Action's what changes your life. So that's really the key. And remember this, if you got your health, you have real wealth.
I love that, David. So true. And I love what you say about, taking action, because what I was going to say is my takeaway. What is my takeaway is, it illustrates that having the resources available to put to work when the opportunity comes is also really important, because we've talked about these people that have been able to invest in real estate. Well, you have to have enough money and the credit score, the relationships with banks, whatever it may be, to have that. In your case, in the case of the example you gave, the $100,000 to put down, you can leverage that to $1 million, but you have to have access to the resources to begin with. So make sure you're really careful with automating things. That's something David talked about from his very first book. Making sure you save money, it adds up, and then it's ready for you when the opportunity comes. And other people don't have the resources because things are kind of, falling down for a lot of people right now, a lot of people losing money in real estate. That is when the opportunity comes. And in almost any kind of asset, it's the people that have the resources available and the courage to take that leap when everybody else is going the other way to make that investment. And nothing's ever guaranteed, we don't know, but it certainly has worked out for both myself and for David. David, tell us, you did tell us about your home buyer challenge. You've got your new website that you've been able to work on from Italy, Finish Rich. You've got your podcast, The David Bach Show, which is going to be ramping up even more this fall. Where else can people follow you? You're also pretty active on social, as we mentioned.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So at David L. Bach. I'm on Twitter too, author David Bach. And then I got another website you can go to, which is davidbach.com. Either one, davidbach.com or finishrich.com. But the big thing is, go listen to the podcast, The David Bach Show, because it's really inspiring people right now. My whole goal when I do a podcast is to be the calming voice, the inspirational voice, but I'm also a realist. Like I tell it like it is, but I'm here to cheer you on. Right now is a time to surround yourself with, I believe, people who are positive. There's too much negativity out there. And if you spend too much time with the negative, it's going to get into you. You got to brush that negative off, even during these difficult times, and find that positive energy. So I hope to be, for those of you who come and listen to me, that positive friend that can cheer you on to realize that your future can be bigger than your past.
Oh my goodness, so inspiring. And when people write to you, they talk about your positivity. So we truly appreciate that. And your podcast is also very personal because of everything going on in Italy. And I really feel like I'm kind of there with you when I listen to your podcast. So thank you for that. Everyone should learn more about David and all of our new season co-hosts. You can go to mondaywithfriendspodcast.com to learn more. If you want links to the articles that we read on the show, the best place is on our YouTube channel, which we are growing. So please subscribe. Just go to YouTube and search for Money with Friends. You can get, first of all, you can also participate in the show live, and you can get all the information about the show. So thanks, everyone. David is going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about investing and whether you should up your cash savings during this time. A lot of people worried about the market. September is a tricky month, so we'll see, right, David?
September is historically a tricky month, and so can October.
Yes. Oh, yes. All right. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Join us. We'll see you then. All right. Everyone, great comments to our audience here I see people on YouTube. I see people on Twitter. I'm sorry, I don't see Twitter. Twitter's hard because Twitter, it goes out and then it just whizzes by people. So I'm not going to actually look for Twitter and just give me a break for 1 second while we are doing that.